Our next guest is Congresswoman Annie Kuster. I was so excited when she got elected last time. It's so nice to know that we have a Congresswoman down there that when they were voting on charter schools, there was about 6 amendments coming up on charter schools. She picked up the phone and she called me. And she said, hey, these amendments are coming up, what do you want me to do? We know that will not happen with the other candidate. The other candidate, I just...
Sir, we can all be homeschooled.
Yeah. Look what that did for her. So, oh, Deb Howe is also an AFL-CIO. It's amazing to have a person down in D.C. that understands and gets our issues and is not afraid to pick up the phone and ask us what we think about those things. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Annie.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here, and thank you to Laura, Secretary Treasurer Schuler, President Weingarten, Senator Lasky, Senator Gilmore, all of these wonderful folks. I want to give a shout out to my friend Diane Sheehan, running for Executive Council. Colleagues in the New Hampshire House. I'm just really, really excited about 11 days, and what we can do to make a difference. And what's thrilling, first of all, just how cool is Stacey Shaheen? I'm telling you. She and I pulled the same schedules today, so I'm just following her from one to the next. We just came from a senior roundtable rally up at Hazelwood in Concord, and she's just doing an awesome job, and it's fun because it reminds me there's this great generational thing that has gone on where I grew up campaigning with my mom. My mother, Susan McClain, was a colleague and friend and mentor to Senator Jean Shaheen. Senator Shaheen has been a wonderful friend and colleague and mentor to me. And you know, what goes around comes around, and I just think it's really terrific. So for our friends from Mass, AFT, thanks for coming up. We've got kind of a theme here. A working women event because it's working women that run our state and that we send to Washington, and we've got to keep that going. There's a lot at stake, and particularly for working people, and particularly for women, and as I say, the men who love them, their husbands, their fathers, their sons. These are really, really important times for us. In fact, a couple of times just within the last week, doing events, I felt myself get emotional, you know, sort of worked up, because I'm running against a young woman. She is less experienced sort of in the ways of the world than those of us perhaps here in the room. And it troubles me, the work that we have all done, men and women in this room, for hardworking families, for the women's role in our society, for equality, fairness, opportunity. You know, if we all took a piece of paper and jotted down the top 10 words of the reasons we do this: compassion, empathy, fairness, opportunity. And here she comes and just says, no, we don't need that. Equal pay for equal work, we don't need that. She doesn't believe in it. When she's asked about equal pay for equal work, her comment is, and I quote, "People are different. I don't think people should be paid the same." Well, of course people are different, but we're talking about the same work, the same money for the same work. And look, if somebody can lift something heavier than me, that's fine, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the same work. And I gotta tell you, we have a constitution, we have an equal protection clause, and the law is to pay people the same for the same work. Guess what? It's not happening. It's not happening here in New Hampshire, where we get 78 cents to the dollar. It's not happening across the country, where we get 77 cents to the dollar. And I know this because it didn't happen in my legal career, and I had to do something to fix it. So we don't pay tall people more than short people, and we don't pay blonde people more than brown-haired people. So we should be paying male people more than female people, because at the end of the here's the thing about this issue. At the end of the day, you know, every day, hard-working families are going out to work here in New Hampshire. Typically, spouses or partners, and they're working hard, and they're not asking for a whole hell of a lot. Decent job, decent place to live, whether they can pay the rent or afford the mortgage, save something for their kids to have a future, and retire with dignity. That's not asking for too much. That's a middle-class dream that all Americans should have access to. But when they come home at the end of the day, one of those hardworking people has to hold up her paycheck and cut 22% right off the end. And you know what? This is not just about women. This is the family pocketbook. This is about that family, that neighborhood, our community, our entire economy. So we've got to pull together and re-elect our whole team on that issue. I know I don't have to remind this crowd where my opponent was with Bill Bryan on the right to work for less. Because I was out there on the plaza with you, and it was a beautiful day. I have to say, one thing that having serious adversaries will do is it'll pull us all together. And we had labor of every star and stripe. We had environmentalists, we had feminists, we had peaceniks, we had the disabled community, we had the mental health community. We were all there, and through the love of God and a lot of hard work, we won, right? We won. But let's not go back there. Minimum wage. She's opposed to the minimum wage. It's not enough that she and her cohort abolished the minimum wage here in New Hampshire. Think about that, our friend from Mass. We have no minimum wage in the state of New Hampshire right now. Thank God we still have the federal minimum wage. She wants to go to Washington and abolish the federal minimum wage. And I asked her in the debate the other night, how much is enough? What's fair to you? $2 an hour? $1 an hour? Really? Because guess what? We're all going to end up paying for that, right? We are all going to end up paying for that. I'm for the minimum wage. I'm for raising the minimum wage to $10.10. And I'm for every person in America who's working to get paid the value of their work. Goes on. As I've said a couple of times recently, if you took all of the things that we're fighting for, all of the values we hold, and you just turned 180 degrees, you'd probably get to her position. Abolish the Department of Education. Think about that. What does that mean? I'm not even sure she understands what that means. No Pell Grants, no subsidized federal student loans. Now, I have lived in New Hampshire my entire life. I went to the public schools here in New Hampshire. I went to college here in New Hampshire. I'm very proud of the education that I got, and I've worked very hard for it. But guess what? She has a great education too. The difference? I want to make sure that every child in New Hampshire has access to a high quality education. Opportunity for all, that's what it's about. Apparently, that's her slogan. I'd say no opportunity at all. Now, the list goes on. Privatized Social Security. I mean, it's unbelievable, okay? So that's what I'm up against. Hopefully, my race will help to stir people's juices and get them really ticked off so they make it to the polls and can vote this whole ticket. I appreciate the work you're doing. I appreciate all of this amazing team that I'm on the slate with. We are going to win this one, top to bottom. We're going to re-elect Jean Shaheen, Maggie Hassan, myself, and Carol, all our amazing team at the Executive Council and the Senate and the House. Thank you to AFL. Thank you to Labor for being there with us, and we are going to stand with you. Stand with you, folks at Fairpoint. You are going to